Okay, so I'm at my mom's house for this week and it's Friday. I had a late start to my morning. So let's see what we can do with what we have left in the day. All right, in this video, we're gonna refactor our entire code base into TypeScript. We're not gonna write any code ourselves. We're just gonna prompt cursor and tell it to convert all of our React.js files into TypeScript files. Typing is important because it makes it easier for your LLM to understand your entire code base. And not just that, like if you're working with other people, they'll be able to easily read through your code and make sense of what all the variables mean, what types of inputs functions expect. And then it also allows your editor to autocomplete for you and show you any methods that belong to that type, whether you're working with a class, a function, a number, a string, whatever. You have some methods that are exposed to those types, and with TypeScript, once your editor knows what type each variable is, then it can make those suggestions for you. But more importantly, as I was saying, when you're providing your code base to something like Cursor or Windsurf or whatever AI code editor that you're using, it does a really good job of understanding what your code base does. But if you're receiving inputs from like an API and you haven't told it what that format is for those the responses that you're getting from the API, then not Cursor, not any LLM, not a person will be able to figure out what format that response is in without actually taking a look at that response. But you need to run the application, you need to make the request, and then receive the response and inspect it in order to be able to make sense of like what information is contained in that response. So in a similar way, when you write your code with typing, you make it so that it's easier to understand your entire code base, and so your whatever LLM that you're using or AI code assistant, it's going to be able to understand your code with less work on its part. You're going to be able to identify any issues that you have in your code base before you deploy it. So at compile time instead of at runtime. Anyways, there's lots of benefits to using TypeScript and using typing. And TypeScript enables you to do typing in JavaScript. There's lots of benefits. You can find information all over the internet, videos talking about it. I won't go too much into the benefits because there's plenty, and just trust me and know that it's a really good thing to learn. Up until this day, I hadn't learned it myself, but I understand that there's a huge need for it, especially as my code bases grow. And now that I'm using these AI coding assistants that can only benefit a lot more and become smarter with more information that I provided, it's more and more important that you do use typing in your code base. Anyways, with that, let's get started. Let's prompt cursor so that it can refactor our entire code base. So I asked it to refactor my entire code base with TypeScript, and it's been working for several minutes now, and it's made lots and lots of changes iteratively. And I don't know if I'm gonna read through this entire documentation. I probably should, just because I don't really know TypeScript. I haven't worked with it before. This is the first time. So we'll see if this is a good approach. If I'm just scrolling and scrolling. It didn't prompt me until several minutes later. It just asked me if I wanted to proceed with further refactoring. And they had some idea for how I can make it better. So basically it's gonna create this shared type file where it's gonna move all the common interfaces to that type file. And so I just told it, yes, please proceed. And then it continued to make more and more changes. And it's still going. It's been several minutes. I can't remember when I started this, but it looks like it's working hard to make these changes. Okay, so Cursor was still working at it, and then it suddenly gave up. It said that there's still some linting errors that it couldn't resolve. So it's asking me to do it. It wants me to provide the linting errors, but I'm not familiar with TypeScript at all. And I could figure out how to do this, but instead I want to make sure that I got everything that it wants me to do. So I just asked 40 Mini Your previous message is very long and I'm not sure what action items are, what my action items are. What do you want me to do? And then it creates a summary, basically a workflow that it wants me to follow to find these linting errors. And there's 4 steps in this summary. And what I did is I basically just copied those 4 steps, and I'm gonna prompt it again and tell it there are still some linting errors related to the transcribe file payload in transcribeservice.ts and potentially others. Please continue to resolve these. Follow this workflow. And then I just pasted the workflow that it told me to follow. And let me just correct this right here. Oh, actually that's correct. So I'm gonna copy this, and I don't need this summary anymore, so I'm just gonna overwrite it because I wanna keep the chat message thread clean. I wanna have as little memory as possible, because if I were to leave that message in, then it just displaces some of the earlier history, because the models only have so much context that they can maintain. And so by overwriting that message, I discard that message thread, or that most recent message basically. So let me just select my model, and I'm just gonna ask it to continue. Hopefully it's able to do it on its own. Okay, so after submitting that prompt, it did make the change to the files, but then it still wants me to run the linter. It says, please run the linter again. If there are any remaining errors or any other files, please let me know. And I got stuck there because I don't even know how to run the linter. So I just went and asked 4.0 Mini how do I run my linter. And then it gave me this command, and I ran it, and I can see that there are over 2,000 problems with my project. So hopefully I can prompt Cursor to fix that. So now that I know what the command is, I can tell it to run it. Let me just scroll down and overwrite this message because I don't need to keep that history. Please run the following command to run the linter on my project and fix any issues that you see. And let me just paste that command. Okay, it should be able to execute it and hopefully make those changes. Okay, so it ran the command, and then it also identified almost 2,000 problems. And apparently that's because the linter was looking inside of the node modules folder and also my virtual environment folder for my Python project, which isn't what we want because we don't want to look at the dependencies or some completely irrelevant files, which are the Python library files. So ESLint should run on my source code, which is in the src directory, because anything outside of that is not relevant to my React project, especially these Python files. So it says that we need to configure ESLint to ignore these paths, and you can do that with an ESLint ignore file, or you can specify the ignore patterns key in the ESLint configuration file, and it's just going to do that on its own. So, and I'm going to let it. So let's see, it runs the command. It's only looking at files that are TS or TSX, tries to fix them, and it's looking inside the src directory. And then after that, it only finds 13 problems, so that's good. That's a lot fewer. That does make more sense. I mean, I can't imagine having 2,000 problems on such a small project. And then if I scroll all the way down, all the way to the bottom, it looks like it works for a while. Then it finally tells me that I can run the linter again with this command, which I did. You can see that right here in the bottom. It only found 3 problems, and they're all warnings. So it looks like, yeah, it's just these 3 right here. So it looks like I don't have anything majorly wrong with my app. But how do I run it? So let me ask 4.0 Mini. You just finished refactoring my code from React.js to TypeScript. I used to be able to run my front end with the command. I'm not familiar with TypeScript at all, and now I don't know how to run my application. What is the command to run it in TypeScript? Let's see what it has to say. So it got back to me and it says, apparently I can still use npm start. However, I need to make sure that I have the necessary TypeScript dependencies installed and that I've configured the tsconfig file correctly. It says I need to install the TypeScript packages by running npm install, and it'll install any dependencies in my package.json. Cool, just like React would, or just like you would in React. All right, let's see if we can start up the app. Let me clear this out. npm start. And it failed. It failed badly. There's all I see is red. So much red. Okay. So obviously I'm gonna tell Cursor to do it itself because it's better if I just tell it to do it. So let me type in here. Please run the following command to start up my application and troubleshoot any errors that you see and fix them. Okay, just changing back the model with, and then let me paste the command here, npm start, because that's how you start up a TypeScript application, and troubleshoot and fix any errors that you see. Awesome. Let's submit that. Okay, it ran them, but it didn't wait for the logs. So let me just paste it in here. Let me see. Okay, pasted it. It's 172 lines. Please see the logs from running npm start. Troubleshoot and fix the issues, please. Submit again. All right, it finally finished. Let's see. It wrote code for a very long time. It was very verbose in its explanation. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read all this. Ain't nobody got time for that. So let's see. Sometimes, let's see, why did it? I guess there were some imports that still were referenced .js. So it just finished and it summarized the changes. Okay, so it just says to run npm start again. So npm start. Oh, it's already running? No, I don't want to run it on another port. I just want to cancel the old one. It looks like it's this one. So let me terminate that. Okay, close everything. Let me run that npm start again. It's loading. Oh, it failed. But it's just a few now. Module not found in video editor context. Okay, they're all in there. So video panel, TSX, transcription panel, audio waveform. Let me just tell it, let me just copy everything. Please see the provided logs from running npm start. It looks like there still are a few issues. Please resolve them and implement the changes. I don't know how many changes it's gonna need to make. It looks like it should be a simple fix, but I don't want to do it. So let's ask Cursor to do it, or rather Gemini. And while it's thinking, we can see that this history has gone on for a very long time. Like this, it's written a textbook. I could keep loading, and there's more and more messages. I've interacted with this for a long time. And I guess it makes sense. I mean, this is a huge change. We're refactoring our entire code base, at least the front end part, to use TypeScript. And these messages just keep going. I don't even remember where I started or what the message was. I think I'm stuck in a loop because I remember seeing this message before. Okay, yeah, it's bugging out. Maybe it's because it's still writing that it's having that issue. Let's see. It's still thinking, it's still writing, and I have my application up here, but I don't want it to interfere with Cursor in case it tries to run that command. So let me just cancel it. And it just finished, so it tells me to run npm start again. I don't know why it doesn't just do it itself. Let's see. Let me just run npm start, and it's running, it's loading, and it's working. We got it to work finally. Okay, looking at the logs, it didn't find any issues. That's amazing. Let's take a look at, let's collapse that, expand this. And oh my god, there's just so much to review. You know what? I'm just gonna go the vibe coder route and not even look at the code. I'm just going to commit it. I have no time to read this entire history. Maybe I'll read it. I mean, I do need to get familiar with TypeScript. The whole point of implementing TypeScript is so that my code is more readable. It's supposed to be a lot better than using just React.js without typing. So it is good that I learn it. But right now, I'm trying to build as fast as possible, and I'm sure you are too. So building and then having to learn a new language, basically, because working with TypeScript is almost like working with a new language. It's not even straightforward JavaScript anymore. It will take quite a while. And okay, we finally got to the beginning of our thread. Wow, this is such a long history. I wish there was a way to download this history. I already looked into it. Today's May 9th, 2025, and there wasn't a really good approach for this. There are some like GitHub libraries, and there's even some paid service. I didn't want to proceed that route, but they offer solutions for downloading your messages, because I'm pretty sure that after I interact with Cursor quite a bit more, all this history and all of these file changes with this nice formatting are going to disappear, because I've seen it happen before. So it's not going to stay in here forever, and I would like to preserve all this nice formatting and be able to download this so that I can review it later, so that when I have some downtime and I want to learn how TypeScript works, I can see how it works and how it worked with my project. But I might not get the chance to do that, and I might just have to learn on the job, because that's what our jobs are like. That's what we have to do. Sometimes we just got to learn on the job, and that's how we continue building and pushing the limit of what we can do. If we rely on some courses to hold our hands and show us how to build, then we're never going to be able to build something that no one else has built, because we're always going to wait for someone else to build it first to show us how to do it. And so that's why it's so important that you learn how to do things on the job rather than relying on courses. I say that as I'm teaching you a course on how to prompt Cursor better, but you can still watch my course. All right, well, that's it. It looks like it's working. I'm not gonna mess around with it anymore. I'm going to just commit all of the changes, and we were able to refactor our entire code base into TypeScript with just a few commands without really having to look at any of the code or make any manual changes ourselves. The code was entirely generated by Cursor, which is amazing. So in order to create this commit message, I think I'm just gonna prompt Gemini 2.5 because it has the largest context. I don't want to rely on GPT-4o mini to be able to summarize all of this. So I'm just going to prompt it with, please follow these instructions carefully, and then provide that one commit message, the instructions for how to write commits. Please use the entire conversation history in this thread to provide context for your git commit message. Okay, let's run it. I need to watch it closely because I don't want it to get reset hard, all of these changes that I have. And I swear I thought I had some change in here that I didn't want to keep. Well, whatever. Let's let it do its thing. Oh my god, that's a huge commit message. That's humongous. It's gonna try. Alright, well, it makes sense that something this large would have that long of a commit message. Alright, let the vibes flow. Let's just stage everything. And then I'll run that command. Let me cancel this. And I'll paste that whole message in here. Boom. And just like that, we refactored our entire code base. All right, let's just quickly test our app to see if it's working. Let me just select the file here, and error. What's the problem? Go to my console, had an error fetching. All right, great. There's a bug, which can be expected when you're editing a code base that large or refactoring the entire thing. It's not very large, it's a very small code base, but still. All right, so the edit page loaded successfully. It's loading the default video and default transcription. That's good. Where's my audio waveform? Oh no, that disappeared. Let me refresh. Okay, oh, there it is. That was weird. Why didn't I have it before? And I can actually see the mini map from that we had integrated before. It looks like it's down here. I zoomed out so you can see it, but now you can't really see it. But it's down here. It looks like this is a mini map. Yeah, you can see this down here. That's cool. That'll be handy later. Maybe we can place it somewhere else or make it. Yeah, we'll think about something. So it still scrolls to play. Yeah, it still plays. Can I zoom in? I can zoom in. Can I detect silences? I can detect silences. Is that all? Trim? Oh, that's if I create a selection. Trim? Okay, great. I can delete it. Yes, I can still delete it. I can delete down. All right, so pretty much still works. It's just the loading. Do I really want to do that right now? I might as well. To wrap up this video, I will fix that issue. And I don't want to do it myself, so let me just prompt Cursor. So let me just open up the console. These are all my logs from interacting with it. Let me just copy this, okay, and then go into Cursor. And I already committed this last message, right? So let me actually rename git log, one line. Ooh, that's a long one. So I want to copy this. I want to rename this history just so it's easier for me to explain it to you guys. I remember what thread belongs with which commit. There should be something like this implemented. I think Cursor should implement something where at the end of a thread, you tell it to commit the message. It creates the commit ID, the commit message, and then it summarizes your chat thread, and it uses that commit ID along with the commit message or the commit subject for the title. That way you can quickly reference these. Although this history isn't preserved forever, it would be nice to be able to download this. So my request still stands. If we can have these titled by the commit ID and the commit subject line, and then be able to download these, that would be an amazing feature. But for now, I have to do it manually, which is okay. Some things you still have to do manually. At least we can do the hard stuff through an LLM. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I want to copy this. Copy. I want to paste it in here. And I want to say it's at the top. Warning, each child in a list should... That's not the problem. Okay, so I don't think that's the problem. Let me reload. Let me load the edit page. Oops. Try again. I have to keep auto. Okay, there we go. Let me zoom in and let me delete this one. All right, going back into here, I'm gonna upload a file. Okay, select the file and it didn't work. What does my console say? Error uploading file. This is what I want. Okay, so now I can prompt cursor. I'm gonna say, is at the top? It didn't copy, it failed. Does it have that? Failed. Failed to load resource. Failed to load resource is this one. Connection refused. And then, I don't know, I'm not gonna worry too much about the formatting. So let me just prompt it with, I tried to upload a video file to my upload endpoint and I got the error message below. Can you please troubleshoot and fix this error so it doesn't happen again, please? I already said please. Okay, so upload. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's an issue with my backend. Did I not have? How dumb! I didn't have my backend running. sh start server. So that starts up my backend. There was never a problem with our app, was there? Let me refresh. Let me browse. Paste the file, and there's the video. Play.
All right, ponytail guy. Let's see what you've got up.
Oops, that was a little loud. All right, that's me. There I am, and it's working. It loaded the video. Check me out. It loaded the video, so our app was working, and I don't need to prompt it again because it didn't have any issue. All right, so our app was working all along, and so we're done. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. See you in the next one.